Well, sir, many thanks for your time and speaking to BloombergQuint. You've called the fresh PIM a more rational, a sustainable, and more lucrative for the prospective buyer who is eyeing Air India. What makes this time different than the last bit?
Well, I like your choice of words. You talked about rational, more sustainable, lucrative. I don't know. That depends on how the outcome is. But look, this is a serious and a well thought through effort. A lot of hard work has gone into it, due diligence. And we have consciously tried to learn from the experience of the last occasion in 2018. You know, consultants will look at individual factors. They will look at specific issues like the external environment. But I think there's a general point. Always before an election, especially an important general election, there's always a degree of caution which I think creeps in. Right. And the bureaucracy in any case tends to be extra cautious. Why? Because you don't want people turning around later and raising questions or pointing fingers. So I think the run-up to a general election is not perhaps the best time to attempt a very ambitious program of privatization. Mm-hmm. Look, I wasn't here. I was not the Minister of Civil Aviation. So it's wrong for me to speculate on the reasons. All I can tell you is that when the task was entrusted to me and to my colleagues who are part of the ISM, my ministry has been very serious about it. And I can also tell you that so are the other parts of the government. And the ISM is headed by Shri Amit Shah ji. And absolutely we are clear that we've got to go through it this time. Also, that the mistakes which were visible, you are not interested, I mean, at least, I don't know what it was, the degree of overcaution. You put in conditions there, but what you need to do is to put yourself in the shoes of the entity which wants to acquire the asset. Right. I mean, anybody looking at the conditions imposed then would have had many thoughts and would have had to do serious introspection on that. But it didn't work. We learnt our lessons. And we are determined to make it work this time.
Right. So and you also did close to about 8 roadshows that you have done.
Well, I haven't done them. The concerned officials, Air India, they have done 8 roadshows, but that 8 number doesn't capture the totality of the picture, the number of people who've come and spoken to me directly, people who've come and spoken to other parts of the government. And there is interest. Make no mistake, it's a first-class asset. It has physical assets, it has aircraft, it has civil aviation, bilateral access rights, routes. Mm-hmm. It has many other things which would be the envy of any other airline. And it has a very good track record. I mean, if we didn't have the unsustainable debt, nobody would want to do it. But I mean, on a more basic point, I think governments should not be in the civil aviation business. I mean, governments do not run airlines or the governments do not conduct this. Mm-hmm. A private operator can use and introduce drastic efficiencies. You can cut costs, etc. Well, there are still people who are arguing that, we shouldn't privatize, we should not disinvest. And that's completely their position. The government is not in a position to sustain the kind of utilization of scarce resources which are better utilized for other essential goods and services which the state needs to provide its citizens.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that you're seeing interest both from domestic and also from international investors?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So the key change is being 100% ownership.
There are other changes. I don't want to simplify. There is a 212-page or thereabouts document. I think everybody should read it. That's why before all these TV interviews, I'm making it a point to say let's not discuss figures. Because a figure has a context, it has a perspective. How much was the figure last time? How much is the figure? How much debt is being retired? That's not something you do in a TV interaction.
What kind of, I'm sure it's too early to ask, what kind of divestment are you expecting from this sale, given that it has, more sustainable approach that you have come up with?
No, I'm not going to speculate on it. We've started a process today. This process has very well-defined timelines. People will be given 45 days in a very clinical, arm's-length process to raise questions. We will see if we need to tweak the provisions a little. And then they're prescribed. Some people will become identified as, prospective bidders in that process. And that process will go on. We are hoping to complete this part of the work by end March.
Right. And lastly, sir, is there a plan B, plan C?
I'm not. You ask questions on plan B if you have doubts. Let me just say that we are very confident that this plan will go through.
Right. Mr. Many thanks for your time. You have already have a long day to go, and many pleasure speaking with you.